Peace. And happy now. Now's the vibrate, of course. Not going too far in the future. Not going too far in the past. Right now. Right now we're gonna talk about sex. Ooh, sex. I bet you get all kind of different, like I say, reactions. But yeah, sex. And I'm just gonna be bouncing around on this aspect, mostly speaking to though how we've been thrown outside our true nature dealing with sex. We are, when anything has a natural way of doing things, you could kind of see, like, say for instance, how our brain throws things off. Like, well, it's natural. It's more natural for our body to have a bowel movement without a toilet. Like, it's better for us to stoop down. How you see your dog or the little animals and how they stoop down and take a crap, for lack of a better word. That's how we should be doing it. But because we're so smart, and this is where the chess game at. Of course, it's your logic brain and smartness, but it's also somebody knows that they're throwing you off by presenting these things to you as well. There's a hierarchy. Like, say for instance, the person who's making the toilet, like, oh yeah, man, I'm doing something great for people, while the 1%er that's over all that, like, haha, I got them sitting on the toilet messing up their bowels. Check. It's like, so it's levels to that, but it's also with our sexual nature. We've been taught these things, taught how to handle sex in a way that's outside of our nature. And the fact that we've been taught everything is within us. There's no need for somebody to come from outside of you and teach you how, how you should handle yourself in a sexual nature. And then two, from colonialism, and oppressor during, through the European oppression, I should say, going around the world, changing things around. And again, and when I speak on these things, I'm just speaking on truths. There's no knock to my fact. Shout out to my people in Europe that support and watch the videos, and all that. There's no vibe, no foul vibes. I'm just speaking, even down to the point where I didn't even have to do all that, but that's just me being me. But you have like the vibes of where, as the Europeans, 2,000 years ago, just starting to get their own little feet under they, like I say, get their little feet under them. In essence, they going around changing, of course, learning from the mystery schools, learning all the ancient gnosis, but then taking it, in some cases, just learning it to the level of, where they could learn it, or learning it again, like on some, are we gonna use this to switch things around type of vibe. But whatever it is, it's like just their time of creating history, and and everything is in divine order. If if the Europeans were allowed to oppress and go across the globe, starting wars and things of this nature, it was something that was meant, like I always use the little flat tire analogy. It's meant for you to have a flat tire, because the person that helped you is the spouse that you love, or when somebody came to help you, it happened to be a business partner that help your business grow. But it's darkness to go through the light. In order for a diamond to be a diamond, it has to go through a extremely high level of pressure. Same thing with us as human beings, as light beings on the human experience. The pressure or the resistance makes stronger. But back to the sexual nature of things. Things have been taken away from its natural place. And when you think about a woman, like, again, back to natural things, so a woman can have an orgasm up to about it could last up to 3 hours, of her just, being in tremors. Now, would it make sense, would Source create a being to, to participate in that level of bliss, just so that being could walk around and be sexually repressed? Like, you got all this amazing sexual energy, and two, the sexual energy is tied to the chi, or the kundalini energy, the energy that rises from the root chakra and raises up. That's all dealing with the sexual energy. So again, a being that could experience such a high level of bliss sexually, you know, that being is walking around like, scared to have sex, or like, oh, I gotta, and this is where the chess game come in, because of course you gotta be careful of who you allow within your temple, but also, and that's where the cleaning of everything comes into perspective, because you wouldn't have to be so much of a police on that situation if society, if we had everything running the way it would be, you wouldn't have to be like, oh, check down, because even down to diseases being fake, you know what I'm saying? Of course, they are as real as your perception perceived them to be. So before people, oh man, so and so died of this, and my cousin really had. I mean, yeah, they really had the disease if if it was in their mental construct. This is facts. The placebo effect is real. Uh, Psychokinesis, or our ability to manifest things, is real, regardless if somebody may have died because of a disease. It's because their mental or subconscious was locked into, yes, this could kill me, or this could do this, so therefore it does that. But when we start moving into knowing the reality of our true nature, it'll be less like, oh man, this person might have this or this. That'll start to drop more and more the more we realize, for one, even if, say for instance, so and so might have this, have that, even if there is Dr. Sebi's diet, there is the diet of cleaning ourselves, getting all that mucus out, making sure we clean, like it's proven, how you help people, get past certain diseases of the body, so it's also that. And then two, just the energy again of, being repressed on an energetic level, and gender being thrown off. That's another thing I'm gonna get into, and which is the area that the egos of the homosexual people, gets trampled on, but not so for, like, matter of fact, I always speak to that, like, well, people who are truly authentic in their homosexual nature, for a lack of a better word, they don't have any problems when I'm doing videos speaking on truths dealing in that area, because they know what they are, like they know that I am what I am, because again, I always bring up is levels to that whole situation. You got androgynous beings, that are really like straight, equally male, female energies that are like gatekeepers that watch over gateways. As a matter of fact, I see them a lot in Venice, where in most cases they'll have like a stick, twirling, gateway, like time, chronos, like a hand of a watch. But anyway, and that energy is real, What is also real is the government putting, or should I say, putting soy in everything, and especially the fake Monsanto GMO soy that has fetal estrogen in it. Go look up fetal estrogen and look up what it's in. So like the brethren who getting the extra soy milk and the lattes, and or wherever it's coming from, and as I laugh and make a joke about it, I'm my own scientist. I watch it happen to me. Like, I watch the fact that if I ever had was allowing too much soy in my diet, a little bit of my testosterone levels would drop. It's facts. Again, it's not just looking at what somebody told me. I looked at it for myself and like, damn, my sex drive lowering, and I got less of that about my, the way I handle myself. And when you say you shouldn't, oh yeah, you're supposed to, as a man, as a masculine man with testosterone, like, got the ability. Matter of fact, just like the female got the ability to have an orgasm for so long, you got the ability to get your muscles up to a certain level and be, like that protective, fearless, testosterone ball or bubble. Just joking, but like that's the whole vibe. So again, there's certain levels to it. You got the government doing this, you got natural androgynous beings coming out, you got people who are just I don't Let me not joke on them too hard, but it is what it is though, because you got people that are just plain like I ain't gonna use the word nasty, but just want to have sex. Because again, we're not trying to shame sex either, you know. But that's what I'm getting into as well. Like it's about us embracing sex. But you got people who, let's just say, love sex on such a high level, but you know they kind of don't care. Like they just want to have sex, so they don't care what gender it is. They don't care if it's a squirrel, a dog, so and so down the street. Like they just want to experience bliss in a sexual manner, so they just like going into it. To each his own. But you know, again, that's where the dysfunction comes into the sexual behavior. You know, because you don't have to be like any and everywhere. You know what I'm saying? Again, and that has to do again with the diets, the government. You know, pushing certain foods on us. You got the prison system, you know, that promotes, you know, a bunch of men being locked down together for so long, you know, that's going to create some type of vibe that, you know, again, being locked down with a bunch of men is not our natural state. You know, not trying to clown my brethren that end up in the situation, which we all got our karmic, you know, debts and ties dealing with certain things. But again, you know, that takes us away from it. And then they call it rehabilitation, and then when you get out, they don't really, you know, not really helping you for real. Like, so all that you get to see, like, you know, how Tupac say, America eats its babies, you know. And then the brethren, Shatam Nityama spoke to that too, about, you know, how they put the woman to sleep at the wheel, you know. Got you fighting for everything, because another thing too, while society has created a type of thing to suppress your sexual nature on so many levels, and it's to suppress it on so many levels, and then to bring it out on a level that doesn't help you, you know, that doesn't serve, you know, like selling sex on a certain level that's, you know, taints the soul. But nothing is wrong with the harlot energy, like that. And I used to say that coming up. I'm like, bruh, it's something to that woman that knows how to have sex a lot, but she's just not considered a freak, you know. It's kind of like that, in essence, you know, the Erykah Badu energy, to the extent of like not having a sex a lot, but you know, she has multiple fathers of her children, and the way the eyes of the way society would like, oh, this and that, but you know, reason why you don't look at it like that, because she working in it through a divine place, you know, so it doesn't come off the same way as, you know, somebody else that may be doing the same thing, you know, in essence. So again, it is it's directing that sexual energy, you know, in these right places. Matter of fact, while I'm thinking about this, again, this video gonna be bouncing around, but all in the same area. Crystal's good for working with your sexual energy, especially getting over sexual repression. I caught the download of carnelian and snowflake obsidian for women, you know, and then for men it would be garnet and snowflake obsidian. And there's other crystals out there that could help with that energy. I'm just telling you the one I got a little download on as I was, you know, getting ready to do this video. Someone was like, man, carnelian and snowflake obsidian would be great, you know, for, and matter of fact, and also I would add Mexican fire opal or fire agate, because that is gonna add a little zing to that area, and also get any demons in it, whether it's sexual repressed or just any demons in general from that area. So again, carnelian and snowflake obsidian for the women, you know, because carnelian, sacral chakra, emotions, the moon energy, you know, and that deals with the feminine energy. So like the sacral chakra is more dealing with the female sexual energy. The root chakra is, you know, right under that, you know, because our genitals are a little bit lower. Matter of fact, comes outside of our body, you know, in essence. So it's dealing with the root chakra for the male energy. And again, speaking on sex, like, you know, where it's not like, oh, I can't be watching this in front of the kids, or I can't, like, man, like as a kid, I was sneaking out from behind my mom back, trying to find out what sex was, so, you know, they might as well, you know, could have told it to me straight up for what it was, you know, because that's the next level of where we going with teaching and stuff like that. It's like stop hiding stuff from the kids. You know, these the little hiding stories type of thing is played out like when you think about the Black Panther movie where they hid the story from Killmonger, or or I think that's how it went. But like what hiding the true stories of situations, or like you got Odin hiding the story of how they really stole Asgard and stuff like that, not telling the truth. You know what I'm saying? It's like, nah, man, you creating repressed energy, you throwing people energies off by hiding things, man. We in the age of Aquarius, the age of information, the age of truth, and it's truth over lies right now, what it is, Truth TOL, MOBTOL, truth over lies. But that's the whole vibe, is getting away from that place of where sex is perverted. And again, way they play the games. Think about this: as a little kid, used to watch National Geographic, and it used to just be like, ooh, look at the female's breast. You know what I'm saying? You looking at the titties, and it's like, oh man, look at the, and it was in a little perverted manner compared to where you looking at, and then what you're looking at, where you see these women in their village or whatever, and none of the men are like, look at the titties. Like everybody like cool. Matter of fact, if they even paying attention, they going about things a regular way. Why? Because their indigenous nature is being embraced, and what's true to their nature is being embraced. So, the breasts or certain parts of the flesh being exposed doesn't create this perverted nature. A woman can't breastfeed without somebody kind of like looking from afar, like a man or a woman possibly. You know what I'm saying? Like, ooh, look at and think about that, man. A woman's trying to feed, like, and I'm laughing because it's, dark and light is all, a part of the thing. But, it's like this woman feeding a kid, and you like, oh, I bet you that baby been enjoying it. So, ooh, it's like, and again, of course, it may be a joke or whatever, but it's still, we got to move back from having that mind frame, because in essence, we support it. I've been telling people lately, now is the time where if you're not supporting, the growth in some type of way, form, or fashion, then we supporting, the non-growth. If we're not feeding the good wolf, then we're feeding the bad wolf, and we want to start feeding the good wolf in the sexual area. So again, stop. We gotta find ways to stop making things so perverted. You know what I'm saying? Be able to see breasts or something like that, and not be like, oh, you know what I'm saying? Like, be able to, also another thing getting into is separate, like, sex from love. Like, we are unconditional loving beings in our truest nature. So it doesn't have to be, that man-made too, that the way of expressing love that we were kind of taught, like in a relationship. Like, I think about what's love got to do? Who needs a heart when a heart could be broken? But like that whole thing about, oh, love is bad, or love is blind, and shout out to Eve, love is blind and it'll take over your mind. I'm just going through it. But we've been taught that type of love that's not the true love. You got unconditional love, where no matter what the condition is of this person, no matter what their skin color is, no matter what culture they're from, no matter what, no matter if that tree grows 30 feet tall or 10 inches, I love it. You know what I'm saying? We operate from that. But to operate from that, well, yeah, this is a relationship, and I only love you, or it's love because we have certain traits that resonate with each other, so it's love now. Like, nah, that's a created love. It's not really the true nature of love. And again, being taken away from our true being. And it's and again, everything is in divine order. It was meant for the masculine vibe, to come through and do what it did. It's like again, going through the going through the going through the darkness to get to the light. I was about to put light and dark together, and then I was about to say dyke at the same time. But I'm getting into all those areas though, nonetheless. But the perks of going, see, just coming with the information. What I was gonna get into. Well, matter of fact, since I'm getting back to causing the gender imbalance, and two, I think about this fire little story that Shantam, and again, check out this brethren, because I'm piggybacking off of some of the information I got from one of his videos, but it's also information that I kind of, always resonated with. He just kind of put rhetoric and words to, how I was feeling, so I'm mixing it all in. But Shantam Nityama, SHANTAM space NITYAMA. Definitely go check out that brethren work. Anything he's speaking on, But he spoke on how he came across some lesbians. I don't know if they just got married or or there was some type of advocates for it or something like that. But I don't even want to slaughter the story because he tell it way better than me. But anyway, just using it as an example of where he and again, this brethren could he knows how to channel the tantric energy, from across the room. Like he doesn't have to have physical hands on a woman to allow for her to have an orgasm or a blissful experience. So, he was laughing at how, like, when you give hugs, and two, he's like, man, when we give hugs, we should be giving a hug, not that little pat on the back, like, hurry up and move. It's like a real energetic hug. And he was like, some of the women, really love, the hugs. And he spoke to where he had hugged this, this lesbian woman, like, for lack of a better word. He hugged her, and then he ended up getting a phone call, or like her reaching back out, and she was like, that hug. It's like I never experienced nothing like that. And basically what she asked him, like, on so many words, like, I'll pay you some money for you to make love to me, to have sex and make love in this manner. And long story short, and what he told her, was like, yeah, because you never been hugged by a man before, like a true, the true energy of how we should be. Because that's another thing we've been throwing off so much, as men, with both of us. But, on the men's side, that, the females, again, again, to the homosexual nature, you got people that's true androgynous beings. But then you got women that just like, well, it's not their true nature. They just like, I don't feel like dealing with men no more, so I'm just about to go have sex with women, type of vibe. To each his own, but that's not it's not moving from a genuine place. Matter of fact, it's being in our ego. It's like, well, I gotta have sex somewhere. And since these boys not acting right, quote unquote, I'm gonna go this way, you know what I'm saying? But the whole vibe way was like, well, after that situation, and made love to the woman, basically she stopped being a lesbian, because she basically said straight up, she was like, I guess I, went to being that way because I never been touched by a man, like a true man in a certain manner before, I never had that true sexual bliss, so that's a strong thing to think about, like, well, we all were like, if on a masculine level, we were taking care of our business. On a feminine level, females being what they truly are, would balance things off in such a manner. Because again, society making women scared of, their sexual behavior. So you walking around repressed because society made you like that because of, the situations it creates. Hey, let's get drunk at a party, and just casually have sex. Or let's just get drunk and, you might not feel like having sex, but the alcohol influence you, or just all these different situations that get you to a point where you just kind of close up and lock down, like, I ain't letting nobody in my temple. And so think about how that's throwing off the true nature of something. It's like something that, a being that could, again, have a blissful orgasm for 3 hours, now locking themselves down. That's how it's like building a dam, you know what I'm saying? Like, if nature want to build a dam, it's going to build a dam. you know. So it's not up to a man or a woman, or just any being outside of nature, or any ego or consciousness out of nature. Let me stop up this, or let me control this. Let me, like, nah, and then that's putting the woman in, like, ego, like control, like let me control it on a certain level, when the sexual nature was just free and flowing. Matter of fact, another thing, speaking to the Brethren Shatam, said, like, well, there wasn't no real word for father back in the day. It was like the father didn't really exist. It was more like an uncle. It's like that was the equivalent of the word, because it's like the women, had sex freely, and the woman had an idea of who the child was for, but the man didn't. And two, reason being, the true nature of things flowing, and you could say, oh, that mean no masculine energy. No, the masculine energy was there. The men were still being men, women still being women, but the ego wasn't there. The ego is kind of like that over masculine logic type of vibe, but the ego wasn't there. So the man not looking at it like, oh, I gotta control my wife, and she's gonna have my kids, and my kids are gonna own my land, and they could know who their kids is and own their kids, and we don't own nothing. Like, we don't own each other. That's another thing, where the ego mind slipped into our true nature in that manner. Like, we do not own each other. You do not own a person when you're in a relationship with them, and relationships should even be on the level that we make them. But anyway, you don't own a person on no levels, not your kids, relatives, anybody. We are all our own little individual universe, our unique plane of existence, in essence. But I think of two, like, what naturally, we're able to have sex without, like, the love attachment to the love that they create, like, oh, I gotta love you to have sex with you. Like, nah, we sexual beings, as long as I feel a vibe of you, ain't got no demon waiting to just bring me down, let's do it, you know what I'm saying? Like, go with the flow of it. And we've been taken away from that vibe as well, because I think of something that Bobby Himmet spoke on, and I came across recently, where he was like, a man, like, a female be like, oh, my man cheated on me, he don't love me. But in all actuality, I mean, the man still does love you. You just want to have, went and had sex with somebody else, on a level where it was like, just exchange of that sexual energy, but he still, got that true connection to you, you know what I'm saying? And again, that's where the falsehood of our of the love, like, where it's only love if you lock me down, if you put a ring on my finger and tell me sit in this house and cook and clean all the time and this and that. Like, it's only, love if you do it like that, and who taught us to do it like that, like, so, like, marriage is so much of a property owning thing and an ego thing of, like, control. This is mine, to the part that the engagement ring used to be like a little cattle ring that would be put, like, so basically you get clamped like cattle. Like, oh, she's mine, so that whole vibe. And again, taking the female from their true sexual nature, like, when truly sexually, like, you don't mind, and again, when I'm saying these things, it's gonna sound funny, because, like, oh, just floating around having sex with anybody, man, that could give you a disease. And see where your mind going, because it's built with this fake construct now. So of course, you're like, oh, well, hold on, aren't you gonna catch a disease? But we never had to worry about that, you know what I'm saying? So again, when you see the spiritual warfare that's going on, anybody that promotes sexual transmitted diseases, like, I'm in LA and they got these billboards about syphilis, or that AIDS is a civil rights issue, like, that one. But all these other things to program your subconscious, like, these things are still real. Instead of a Dr. Sebi sign that said, hey, I cured AIDS, or hey, I cured cancer, and all this shit is bullshit. It's still the fear-mongering vibe out there to get you to be scared of your true sexual nature, So these are one of the things that definitely needs to be cleaned up. Because and another thing, a lot of stress. Like, we always clown. Like, when you go in a certain store, you go somewhere, you know, or you come across somebody anywhere, you know, they kind of disgruntled. They kind of got that, like, mad at the world vibe, you know, or just, you know, the tightness about them. And we kind of be like, bro, they need to have some sex. Like, they need to do something with themselves, you know. You know, you got people walking around like that because they're not having sex, but that because sex been taken out of its true context and out of its true nature. Again, because the body's been taken out of its true nature, you know. Somebody got the heart thinking it's intestine, got the intestine thinking it's a heart, got the brain thinking it's the ruler over everything, you know, and it's like, you know, everything is out of whack, and it personifies on the physical plane, you know. Because even down to where it's not about, like, how they made it about race, like, oh yeah, we're going to call this the black race, we're going to call this the white race, we're going to call this to this race. But there's no such thing as these races, you know. It's just, matter of fact, and even to put even more so in personification, we are just like cells in a body. So anybody with melanin is equivalent to a melanocyte, or, you know, melanin within a body, you know. And matter of fact, like, the lack of melanin does give off a cancerous vibe, you know. And it's not to, oh, this person is, but it's just the true nature of what you see, you know what I'm saying. When you look at the little Rothschild families and people who operate on certain levels, it's like, you know, with all the war and, you know, taking things away from love, you know. It's like a cancerous vibe, you know, that kills things, or taking sex out of its true nature. You know, you got the Roman Catholic Church touching on little boys, you know, things of this nature, you know. Not to say no person with melanin or not with melanin is better or not better. No, it's just facts of how the body works. Again, you know, if a person can't explain true science and facts, and a person gotta feel like, oh yeah, let me say this in a way, then even that's a testament to still being in a place where people, you know, still in their egos, still don't want to accept certain truths, you know. But it's all about the sexual repression and lockdown. So you got this marriage situation, you know, that's not real. Like, that's why I say back home in Louisiana, you know, you got old folks who be together, man, for so many years and never get married, you know, because it's just the vibe. And be together for so many years, and the man, or the possibly the one, but the man that had women, you know, and children outside of that how can I say it, outside that relationship, but it still didn't stop the relationship, you know. Because again, we also on a vibe where, like, think about it like this: it's ownership. That's ego. Ego is like, oh, you know, you can't have sex with nobody else. And is that, and is the fact of, again, where society been throwing off so much, you can't have sex because you might go catch a disease from somebody else. But, you know, diseases don't exist, and if we be eating healthy and doing things healthy, you wouldn't have to be on that egotistical vibe of you mine, you only mine, you know what I'm saying? It's like, bro, that's straight ego. You know, instead it's like about flowing, touching. Like, the reason why people so stressed out and mad at the world, because they're not being touched, man. They're like, it's all right to be touched, you know what I'm saying? I think about a queen that speaks on that, you know what I'm saying? Like, what it is about us, you know, touching more. It don't even have to be just sexual, but just touching in general, like some type of intimacy, you know, not being scared of it, you know. Like, oh, it's sex, and hide your eyes, it's sex. It's like, man, that's our true nature. We all walking around here now, you know what I'm saying? And that's one of our most powerful that's one of the most powerful things we do as creators is, you know, dealing with the sexual energy, you know? Because in essence, that's how things manifest, you know, is the darkness of the womb, or the womb man, and the solar phallic sunlight of the male energy, and it comes together and it creates, you know. But it is also, though, again, the woman in her truest nature, you know, is you know, a freely sexual being, you know, and again with the masculine energy as well. But we gotta start, you know, balancing ourselves back off as males. We gotta stay away from the soy products, man. Stay away from things that's putting that fetal estrogen in us, so we don't act like women towards our women, and the women, you know, opening up more more sexually, and which that takes time, of course, you know, but it's like stop being so over masculine, like where they basically play the chess game of like having women fight for their rights, but you're fighting for your rights in the, you know, in an egotistical masculine type of manner. You know, I don't need it. I'm basically like a man myself. I don't need no man. You know what I'm saying? I'm independently masculine myself. I don't need no man. You know, it like it creates that type of vibe, and then when it comes to wanting to approach a man, like, well, I can't get no man, this. Or you constantly talking about how most men ain't shit and this and that, and you wondering why it's hard to find. Because again, back to the law of attraction, you manifest everything as a reflection, you know. So whatever you're manifesting is a reflection of yourself. Always remember that, and it'll be easier to not point the finger at everybody else, you know. Because even down to myself, getting back to that place of being more open sexually, where I make sure I'm open about how I feel sexually and speaking on it. You know what I'm saying? I'm getting back to that place, like with conversations with females or just in general, because it's like, you know, making sure I'm not like being all repressed, and making sure the lines are open on that level, you know. Because whether it's just laying down butt naked, touching each other, you know what I'm saying, don't have to be penetration. 'Cause that's another thing too. We're not supposed to, as men, we're not supposed to be ejaculating. We're supposed to be holding on to that semen. Matter of fact, you could either strengthen that muscle, but like it's like the muscle right behind the testicles, but in between the anus and the testicles. But like you press down on that muscle right before ejaculation, and it'll stop it from coming out. Now that's just me speaking on it in general. You know what I'm saying? You definitely want to do some extra research, you know, and before you get into that. But because also you strengthen that muscle, like if you have an erection, you know, you could you know, it's like the muscle that you use to stop peeing, like, or to, you know, to hold your pee or push out the pee. You know, you deal with that muscle, and, you know, almost like doing sit-ups, like move that muscle like in 50 reps, you know, like 50 reps at a certain time, you know. But that's all like building up that nature, because the reason why we'll sometimes have prostate cancer is, or not say prostate cancer, I'm sorry, but the prostate will start operating, you know, funny, or like you find it hard to hold your pee and stuff like that, is because those muscles are not being strengthened and being used as it should be. Because it's true to the statement, if you don't use it, you lose it, you know. So it's definitely you know, something to deal with. But yeah, we're not supposed to be ejaculating. We should just have a orgasm, and two, you can have an ejaculation, which is like an orgasm, like an inward orgasm, almost like how females have it. As a matter of fact, I think about too when I'm doing the yogic breaths, and it, you know, it make my little sensation of bliss be up in the higher chakras as well. Like I couldn't even talk right, up in the higher chakras. You know, the blissful vibration, again, bring that kundalini energy up the spine to the brain, or to the pineal crown, and then shooting it back down and having a balanced flow. Matter of fact, and that's why too, you got Shantam Nityama, you got Mantak Chia, you know, all these different breathing techniques, and the as above so below aspect of, you know, seeing the inside of the body as, you know, like how the cosmos is structured, and visualizing your breath moving through you, you know. The same thing with the sexual tantra, you know, it's like envisioning, you know, the sexual energy, you know, going in certain areas, you know. And again, I'm new to this, so I'm definitely about to become more of a student of that department, dealing with the tantric sex and how to move that energy without even touching a female. Because I think to myself too, like, well, having sex always for me was about like pleasing the female. Like, it's a reflection. So of course I'd be about pleasing the female. She'd be like, well, I'm gonna make sure you do you too. I'm like I even make the joke about it, like I'm a man. It took training to be able to hold back. So it ain't nothing for me to put my guard down and and go with the flow, and that's but it was always more so about pleasing the woman, you know and that's the whole vibe. And two, we want to get more into like not only a deep energetic level with the sex, but also getting away from just dealing with the females, from just playing with the clit all the time. As a matter of fact, like Shantam said, that's like it's like a youngster, little girl way of dealing with your sexual nature. It's, you step it up and have more, not only internal or vaginal orgasms, but again, like just energetic orgasms in general, where you could just go into a super blissful state, and I was about to. It was fun. I had to catch myself because I was like, I don't want to get no ego place. But I mean, it's just explaining, but I'm gonna still keep it away from myself and just say that, in your experiences, you're looking for a woman to tell you, she had the best orgasm ever. You want to feel like she's in the tremor state so much that, if you went to even just touch her, she like, but this is all in a good way, you know what I'm saying? Because another thing too, we're not trying to be no succubuses and incubuses to each other. We're not trying to take away each other's energy. We're trying to build it up and make it stronger. And also, sex is where we manifest things. Again, back to how I said, like, the masculine, feminine energy, but also sex magic. When a female is vibing in her true sexual nature, and two partners get together, man, y'all manifesting all kind of things, and that's why the government, these places, and certain people are trying to keep us away from our true sexual nature, because it throws off a lot of just more than just having sex. It throws off a lot of things, you know what I'm saying, on so many levels, like your manifestations. You could manifest way more powerful, dealing with that masculine, feminine energy and during sex. This is all the things that, Aleister Crowley and the OTO was like mimicking and trying to, deal with that whole sex magic vibe, of where some people do it differently. Some people do it like in an orgy type of vibe, or you're doing it with your single partner, or however, multiple partners, single partners. But it's just like whenever you get to that place of orgasmic bliss, and you envisioning the things that you want to manifest when you get into that blissful state, that helps amplify that energy, because that's what manifests things, is a abundance of chi energy. The reason why you like and it's as above so below, it personifies as a energy that makes things manifest. So when you lacking chi, you lacking the energy to actually physically do things, but you're also lacking the energy to metaphysically create, and to manifest things on a certain level, because you don't have enough of a spark flying, floating through you. That's the way the angels contact us, is by seeing our light. So if our chi flow is not, abundant and, not flowing properly, then it's hard for us to contact the light. But, definitely getting back to that true nature. And also, and then speaking to my own experiences, again, like what I talked about, like dealing with the soy and seeing my testosterone levels drop, but also dealing with, a lack of work in the root chakra area. But it all coincides, the root chakra balance and vitality and physical activity. Because if you're partaking in physical activity and being vital and exercising, then, it coincides with the root chakra. So one is taking care of the other, or vice versa in essence. But definitely I see my own sexual nature come by how much my root chakra is spinning, and how properly, I'm working on it. If I'm exercising and, staying vital, then I'm staying in that root, that testosterone flowing. I'm like, ooh, look at it, look at that beautiful queen sacred geometry. It's looking very nice. Look at her cathedral. You know what I'm saying? The cat geometries. You know what I'm saying? Cat hedral geometry. You know what I'm saying? Look at that. And that's why, matter of fact, as above, so below. That's why we see a certain building. And it's like, oh man, that building looks so amazing. Look at the architecture of it. As above, so below. We come across each other, male or female. Visual. You see the architecture of the temple, and you're like, man, that's a beautiful tourist field. That's some beautiful pyramids you got there, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Just being facetious, but and again, though, it ain't nothing wrong with us being into each other's physical nature, but it's also though not that just by itself. And so much is not about no black and white. It's an area that's shaded gray. You know what I'm saying? Where of course you don't want to be pervertedly just having sex with any and everybody you approach, but at the same time, it's about getting back to a place where you can openly deal with people and have multiple partners and not have to feel like did something wrong, did something bad. It's a balance in that energy. But again, I definitely see my sexual nature come with how how I'm taking care of myself physically, or how you feel root chakra on all levels. Because if I'm not taking care of myself, like if I feel like I'm not taking care of my hygiene, let's say, good enough, then I'm gonna have that vibe of like, well, I don't even want to speak to this female because I'm feeling my hygiene off, or my and if you're feeling your hygiene off, that throws off your confidence and self-esteem. So it just and in essence, again, that's a chakra work just as much as it's physical work. You could say, yeah, I gotta pick up my self-esteem and confidence, or you could say, yeah, I gotta work on my solar plexus, my sacral chakra, my root chakra. It's all in essence the same thing. And two, I thought about the cooler analogy of how your root chakra, the red, red of the blood, the hemoglobin, hematite, and blood flow. And blood has iron in it, and when we get to our sexual nature, we call it getting hot, like, oh, getting hot, you know what I'm saying? And for any type of sexual energy, to really pop off at a certain level, you need blood flow in the genital areas. Men use it for the erection, women just to have a certain sensitivity to the area, the blood flowing in that area. And if the blood is flowing at a high pace, that means iron is moving. If iron moving fastly, you ever seen iron bump against each other fast, it creates heat, So the true science to it, getting hot, and the blood flow and hematite. Hematite is basically like your blood in essence, It's the hemoglobin. That's where the name comes from. Hemo, like hematite, hemoglobin, So it's basically like putting itself, like I say, it's one and the same with your blood in essence, But again, the root chakra definitely brings in the vitality, And just kind of going over my notes. That's basically, the gist of it is getting back to our true nature of being with sexuality. Because again, it's been repressed. It's been put in the ego place of like control. Like you could only have sex with me, and this and that. Like it's control, ego. I gotta keep track of my kids, and here it goes. I've always put this science out, and you could go look it up. Our genetic lineage moves through the mitochondrial DNA of our mother. That's facts. So why are we walking around, allowing society, allowing each other, whatever, where people get married or turn into private property, and then, oh wait, hold on, what I was about to say. I'm sorry, y'all. I was it's gonna. And two, it's another thing dealing with this type of information. You know, different type of entities and things might be trying to zap me from speaking on the information. So y'all work with me if I feel like I'm losing where I'm at, because again, this is one of the most key things in us growing spiritually, is getting back to our true sexual nature. But definitely getting away from that egotistical place with it. So, and also things that'll help that, getting back to the exercise and healthy exercise, but also raising the kundalini, doing the kundalini breaths, the cry yoga breathing, in through the nose, out through the nose, but you bringing it in when you breathing inward with the nose, inhaling, the stomach comes out, not the chest, but the stomach, and I got older videos on this, but stomach comes out, and then stomach goes in as you exhale, and that's pumping energy on the inhale, the energy pumping up the root to the Binah, the crown chakra area, then coming down the front area, going back down the chakras, back to the root. So that kundalini energy, again, having that flow good, deals with the sexual energy. And to the again, back to the males, be there for the women. If you could feel a woman being sexually repressed, or you feel like she's drawn up or tight about something, then you should like I say, talk to her, give that energy of like, everything is smooth. You could, relax, be yourself, and as a man, don't be overly sexual on a level where, if you could feel like that little guard up, connect first, what I'm saying? Like talk, connect and vibe, like really let it be an intimate vibe, as well. But that's basically it. Oh, and I think about like how this whole situation, again, is like the ego or the masculine energy trying to control things. I always joke about how the dog is a man's best friend because he could control it. But how they had the ancient stories of the male overcoming the darkness, which is so many different stories on multiple levels. But the male overcoming the darkness is like a psychological allegory or a symbol of like the man fighting for his egotistical existence. It's like going in the darkness of the womb and fighting the dragon. It's like fighting the feminine, the true feminine nature that it is. Because again, from the darkness of the womb, let there be light. You know what I'm saying? So it's that feminine nature that came first. Again, why do all men have nipples? Is because you were a female in the embryo first, and as above, so below. If it happens in the womb or within our body, then that's how the cosmos work, and vice versa. So again, that's what the religions try to restrain and constrict, is the true nature of the universe, which was the feminine nature first and foremost. And there's also a balance. It's not to make things overly feminine or overly masculine. It's just like the kundalini raising up the spine, Just, But yeah. And again, the importance of this information, and how it should get out there, what I'm saying? Like think about like where Bobby Hemmett is doing a video and he kind of lost his train of thought for a second, or like and he kind of caught. And I realized too myself, like whenever it gets like that, whether it's a certain situation, things that may try to stop the information from being delivered, that's something that's trying to move against that. But I'm basically it, again, with the identification, is like trying to control things, control. That's the masculine marriage. Like, let me own these children, let me own my wife, matter of fact, and there's a pimp game, let me own my wife while I go have sex how I want. And two, that's the thing, where here it is, a woman in her true nature could have an orgasm up to 3 hours long, and then as a male, we kind of like to, have sex as well, like we all like to have sex, but then we're gonna put ourselves in this box and say, yeah, I marry you and I this and that, you know. It's taking ourselves away from our true nature. But I'm gonna leave on this note. Got a little vibes coming in, but that's basically it, y'all. You know, just get back to the true sexual nature. As a matter of fact, too, if I feel like it's not enough information in this video, I'll still make another one as well. You know, and just do a little more education on this, because again, back to the man, the psychological vibration of like how can I say, the psychological allegory or symbolism of fighting the dark, like going through the darkness to fight that dragon, or that divine feminine energy, because fighting the dragon is also fighting the sexual energy or controlling the sexual energy as well, but it's also like coming out of that darkness of the embryo, like I am man, hear me roar, you know what I'm saying, like trying to exist outside the trueness of the it's almost like a water drop fighting to be a water drop instead of going with the flow of the whole ocean, That's basically exactly what it is. But, and that's basically it, back to the getting back to our true sexual nature, not being egotistical in our sexual nature. That goes for all of us, no matter what, male, female, masculine, feminine, homosexual, however you be true and real about what you're dealing with, you know what I'm saying? Like, point blank, period. But peace. Happy now. Now is a vibrate, of course. Not going too far in the future. Not going too far in the past. Right now.